to the North Carolina Tar Heels. I mean, bro, it's true. It's sad, but it's true. 96-85, you see it there. They had to win today. They did. And they got to keep doing that. They got to keep winning. We talked about North Carolina RC about 2 weeks ago, and so after they got their asses whipped by Clemson, and we said they got to run the table, right? They had to run the table, and they've since won 3 or 4 in a row. So RC, how are we feeling? What's the temperature check on North Carolina basketball right now?
Listen, give them credit, man. I always pick on Hansborough and Henson when those guys are on, and they Carolina grads, but they're doing what they got to do to keep themselves on the bubble and keep themselves relevant. Hubert changed the starting lineup, went with a little bigger lineup with Withers and Powell, Van Out and Lubin on the front line, with Elliot Cadeau and R.J. Davis. And since then, they've been scoring. They've had 2 games in the 90s, and they scored 81 against Virginia, which is like scoring 90. So offensively, they've gotten better. I think it's given them a punch from the bench with Seth Trimble coming off the bench as well. Washington has had some solid games coming from the bench. And obviously, Ian Jackson means he's back on the bench. So it seems to be working, that particular lineup, for whatever reason. But they're playing better, man. Give Carolina credit. Can they take care of business against everyone else? Yes. The big game is going to be, can they beat Duke at home? They're going to need that win either there or in the ACC tournament if they want to punch their ticket and climb themselves out of the hole and get back in the tournament.
John, are you able to wear the merchandise out and about again? Are you in that? Is it safe? Is it safe to do that yet?
Or? Yeah, I mean, there wasn't, I guess you could say, like, how much worse could it have gotten? So, yes, they're playing well. They're averaging 90 points over the last 4 against 2 really good. I mean, Florida State getting 96 on them. They're top 3 in all defensive metrics. Giving up 85 to Florida State is kind of scary because they lack that offensive punch that you see from teams normally at that level. But got to give credit where credit's due. The lineup change, with a little more size. Withers, I think, has been the number one X factor of just having, the perimeter threat. He's hitting threes. He's shooting with confidence. And, it looks like they found something with the starting lineup. And, I think the magic number is 22. They got to get 22 wins, however you want to call it. If they go, if they run the table, that's 21, and then they got to win a couple tournament games, maybe one game where, if they got to see a Clemson or Louisville, I don't think that would hurt them. But the Duke game is going to be interesting. If they run the table and beat Duke, they're in. If they don't, they've got work to do. So it'll be fun to watch them down the stretch. I was telling y'all earlier, we kind of had this scenario where we would clinch my last 2 years, and we had to play Duke at the end, and we steamrolled them. So hopefully that's not the case with Duke, being locked in and knowing that, you win and you put a banner up. So we would love to ruin that night for them, but Duke looks like a juggernaut, to say the least.
Yeah, when you say it'll be interesting, like, who do you think it will be interesting for? Like, do you think it will be interesting for, like, Duke fans, or, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, who do you think it will be most interesting for?
Well, put it this way: at least it'll be some implications on the game, right? Duke clinches or Duke wins, and then Carolina gets the ball. So that will be fun. But I say interesting lightly because if beating Duke at home in the finale for them to win the ACC regular season title is what we have to do to get in the tournament, I don't like that. I don't like the prospect of that.
I will say this. If I was just trying to make a case as a Tar Heel fan, look what Michigan did to Ohio State, right, in football in the last game of the year. And there were no implications in that one. So when Ohio State went on to win the national championship, Michigan packed them folks up. So it is in Chapel Hill. Crazy shit happens, man. It does.
Yeah, it has, and it's snowed in Florida in July sometimes. You're right, crazy. It's been.
It ain't like that.
Look, I like Carolina to cover. I like Carolina to cover. How about that? Can we get I like Carolina to cover, but
Well, let's
like I
when we
said,
get to
man,
the game, we'll see what the spread
yeah,
is, and we'll talk about it. We'll
it'll be
talk about
about
it.
11 and a half. We'll be about 11 and a
Okay.
half,
Well, when the
10.
spread comes,
Like,
you and I are gonna talk. We'll find something.
yeah,
We'll
we'll have a
find
chat.
something.
Hey,
We'll have a chat.
Yeah, we'll have.
John, how do you feel though about RC talking that talk when he's outside the bubble with your ass? I mean, it
Well,
just feels like he should.
I was gonna tell RC hey, we used to have a saying in Carolina when we play teams that we supposed to, on the bubble and we wanted to beat them. So we would say somebody ain't gonna make it. That's what I feel about Carolina and Wake Forest. Somebody ain't gonna make it.
Yeah,
They're both not getting it.
Well, you're right. And right now, one of us is in, and it ain't Carolina. So if we saying that, one of us is in.
Man,
So
we've seen this Wake Forest story
this is
before.
tough.
We've seen it. We've
tough.
seen it.
Hey, I'm not saying it with my chest. I'm not jumping
This is
out there,
crazy.
and all that. But I'm just stating the facts right now. I'm not making an argument.
I mean,
I'm
it's
just saying
this is like
schools are in.
to be in the middle of this is like, I mean, such story programs, and y'all fighting over Dayton. I mean,
no, and you know what? And you know what? I'm gonna be cheering like my life depending on we're playing, playing for our lives. First day of the tournament, you know what I'm saying, and got to fly from the first four to LA to play. So I'm gonna be, it is what it is. So
yeah. By the way,
Carolina's role,
the only
respect.
they are, and hey, sometimes teams don't win games they're supposed to win in college basketball. So listen, it would not shock
and it's
me.
not over, man. As much as we want to sit here and say winning conference games is just hard. I mean, it on a serious note, it's hard. I mean, people act like it's just like you're supposed to be, like you're only one playing with a level of desperation. Right now, those games are hard because the teams at the bottom of the league that you think record-wise is easy, they're even playing now because you don't even get a chance to play in your conference tournament. So, like even in NC State, they're fighting so they can have a chance to defend their conference championship, which before was just a given that they would automatically be in it, man. So there are no easy wins, and you're gonna have to stay dialed in. And hopefully Carolina's not looking ahead trying to worry about Duke. They got to take care of business game by game, as Wake and everybody else does. So